Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to KWN Network on this fine Tuesday morning on our 9 o'clock Principles program. My name is Dr. Ned Nedziwe, and it's my honor and my pleasure to come before you this morning. KWN Network is a network whose purpose is to empower, equip, train, teach in matters of leadership, business, giftedness, and purpose. We have been over the past little while looking at our book, The 100 Explosive Business Principles, and we're going to continue along those lines. Before I proceed, allow me this morning to just take a moment to honor a great servant of God in this particular country of Zimbabwe and of course across the globe. It's Baba Dr. Professor Ezekiel Guti's birthday today, and we want to say congratulations and happy birthday to you, Baba. He's 97 years old. That is one of the heritages of the Lord. The man has lived a long life. We honor you, we honor you, we honor you. He is clearly an apostle of our generation. Congratulations and happy birthday, Baba Guti. I was amazed just this morning looking at the WhatsApp status of one of our daughters who was sharing that Baba Guti prayed for her when she was 6-7 years old. So Baba Guti is like probably a great grandfather to so many because of the many generations that he has impacted that are even alive today. So congratulations. Please remember to tune in on Saturday, 10 o'clock in the morning, where we deal with our program KWN Life broadcast. Today, our subject, the last in the first chapter of our book, 100 Explosive Business Principles, is we are going to do with two principles today, what I call visioneering and then planning. So here we go. God bless you. Thank you for tuning in. The Bible reads in Habakkuk 2, verse number 2, write the vision, make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. The principle I want to teach today is a principle that I call visioneering. Visioneering, because there is a difference between, anyway, let's get into it. This scripture we've just read, write the vision and make it plain on tablets. A friend of mine then laughs and says, Apple did not invent tablets such as the iPad. They were already in the Bible. Moses wrote on tablets and so on. Funny, but yeah, write it on tablets. Wherever it is written, it's fine, that he may run who reads it. What this scripture is saying is that there is a different role for a person who sees the vision and must write it down, and another person who reads the vision and runs with it. Those are two different people, two different processes. The problem we have most of the time is we want to see the vision, write it down or whatever we do with it, and also run with it. That is true and proper, particularly at the beginning of a vision process, of a business, of a church, of an organization, of an NGO, as the case may be. But a time comes when there must be a separation of roles between the person who is the visionary, who is the visioneer, the person who carries the vision, and somebody else or a team of people who read and run. That's very important. Because a time comes in the business, in the cycle of that business or whatever it is, when the visionary needs to get out of the way and allow other people to come in and do their part. These people are called managers, they are officers, they are directors, managing directors, general managers, or whoever they might be, who come to join the vision, to join the team and run with it. The reason why it must be written, obviously, is because it must be clear so that they know what they are running with. We call it running a business. Have you ever wondered where that came from? It came from here. Running a business means you are running with a vision. You are pursuing a purpose, pursuing a goal, or whatever it is you are tasked to do, your key result areas, your targets and your goals. Those you must run and pursue them and achieve them. The vision has to be clear for people to be able to read it and therefore run with it. It is not always that you yourself, the visionary, needs to run with the vision, as it were. You run with it usually at inception. So there are two cycles. There is the entrepreneurial cycle, or part of the cycle, where you are starting the vision, the church, the ministry, or whatever you do, you are starting it. Then, and at that point in time, usually you are doing everything. You are the cleaner, you are cleaning the toilets, you are setting up the sound system, you are the accountant, you are the bookkeeper, you are the salesman, you are the manufacturer of the gadget you are selling, you're doing everything. That's usually the entrepreneurial part of the cycle. But as your business grows and gains whatever level of critical mass, it becomes necessary for other people to come in and do their part in the business. So it's important that you get out of the way. The problem is that most of the time we get in the way of the running of a business. Let managers come in, let officers come in, and other people who do what they do and do it well for that matter. Let them come in and do their part and run that business dispassionately. You as the entrepreneur will struggle. It may not be easy for you to run it dispassionately. You want to know, oh, why did they spend 10 cents buying that pencil? They should have maybe used charcoal from the fire and things like that. But the business needs to be run dispassionately by corporates. I call them managers, general managers, or whoever they are, people who will come in and manage the business in the proper way. I can give you several examples of people who almost ruined their businesses because they mistimed the point of getting out of the way and letting others do so. The world's second wealthiest man, Bill Gates, almost made that mistake. Microsoft got left behind in the area of innovation and so on and so on. In my humble submission, maybe because Mr. Gates stayed on too long. He needed to have gotten out. Eventually he got out. I think it was Steve Ballmer who came in, and Ballmer then also got out. Now there's Satya who's running that business, and Microsoft has started catching up again with the likes of Apple, Samsung, and so on. Microsoft totally missed the cell phone evolution. Now they're actually having to play catch up, buying the company Nokia to try and get involved in the cell phone industry. They miss the fact that everything went into a cell phone. Writing a letter is in a cell phone. Taking pictures is in a cell phone. Everything folded into a cell phone, whereas Microsoft continued to chase the PC and so on and so on. So while Microsoft is a great company doing great things, I think certain things were mistimed there. So a stage comes when your role changes from being the entrepreneur, starting and getting the business going, to that of becoming a visionary and let others manage. What is your job as a visionary, or a visioneer as I like to call it? It is still a job. It's a very important role you must play. That role involves you sitting there thinking about, what is our next step? What do I need to do? Networking. You are the rainmaker for the business. Maybe creating critical relationships. You are the one who must know that minister, that president, who must know the relevant people who's building the relationships, and your job ceases to be worrying about, is there petty cash and who's disbursing petty cash, approving petty cash. That is not your job. Your job is to see the next stage of evolution of the organization that you are leading. If you stay in management, then guaranteed that business will not grow. Imagine Sam Walton trying to manage a supermarket, Walmart, or whatever it was called at the beginning. Him, maybe Mrs. Walton would be standing at the cash register herself every day. Well, so how many Walmarts would you have? You would have one with one cash register. But if you bring in managers to manage things, and then you put in systems to manage those people, to manage how things are done, your supply chain, security, accounting for money, security for the money, freshness of goods. You get in experts at green things like vegetables. You get in experts at hardware to come in and run things. That way you can then grow beyond yourself. In other words, Walmart becomes the largest supermarket chain on earth, because Mr. Walton realized that he cannot stand behind every cash register and do everything himself. He changed roles from being the entrepreneur with one Walmart, second Walmart, third Walmart, to that of visioneering, to say, hey, I can do this thing and put it across an entire nation, across the globe. Walmart is now in South Africa, it's in Asia, different brands all under Walmart or whatever it is. They've globalized because Mr. Walmart got out of his own way, changed his job from being an entrepreneur to becoming a visioneer. Your business will not grow beyond yourself as long as you are in the way. Even look at ministries. You don't see Baba Guti worrying about is the microphone working? Is the sound system in order? That's not his job. There are other people who've come in, even if they are volunteers or full-time, doesn't matter. There are other people who've come in whose job it is to make sure that this is done and he can focus on his job. We see this very, very clearly and biblically. Jethro said so to Moses, I think in Exodus 18, where he said, what you are doing is not right. It's actually wrong for you to be sitting there judging every case, for you to be sitting there ringing the till or the cash register for every single sale item. Jethro said to Moses, it is wrong. Find good men of character, whatever the definition might be for your particular industry. Put them to be leaders over 10,000, over 2,000, over 1,100. That's exactly what it is. So in a Walmart, you have someone overseeing Walmart USA. That's the 10,000 maybe. And then you have someone seeing Walmart in New York, which might have 1,000 stores. So it's graduated like that. It's called delegation, and it is the right thing to do. You see exactly the same principle in the book of Acts, where the apostle were now encumbered about the business of feeding widows. And what did the guy say? The guy said, no, what we are doing is wrong. This is not our job. We should not be focusing on feeding tables or looking after tables and feeding widows. Not that feeding widows is not important. It's critical. Those widows are there, they need to be looked after. Children are there, children's ministry, they need to be looked after. But the apostles recognized that that particular aspect of the business, of the ministry, of the NGO is not their job. They then said, our job is to focus on two things, prayer and the word. What is your prayer? What is your word in your business? Those are the two things you must focus on, whatever they might be. Don't do everything. You can't be all men, everything to everybody. Choose the most critical things in your line of work, ministry, organization. Even as a president, you can't do everything. Your job is to say, what are the 2 things, 3 things that I, as the president of a nation, must focus on? Those are the things you focus on. Everything else, you must delegate. For the apostles, it was prayer and the word. What is it for you? In your instance, in your business. Right now, for me in our group, my focus is how do I grow our business beyond, or businesses beyond where they are right now. That's my job. There are managers who are doing different things, and I must let them. I may not like everything they do. I may not agree with every decision they make, but I think we choose well. We look for managers, the right people. Choose well who you are putting in. Make sure your criteria for those people is correct. Choose well, put them in place, let them run with it. They will make mistakes. To err is human. William Shakespeare or somebody said it's normal for, well, not normal, it's expected. People will make mistakes, and that's okay. When they make mistakes, don't kill them. Just pick them up, help them see what the mistake was and how it can be avoided in the future, and move on. Nobody is perfect in any way, shape, or form. So the job of visioneering is a specific role all by itself. If you've watched carefully, businesses that grow is because their visioneer is doing his job of envisioning, of casting the vision, pronouncing the vision, writing it down, and then there is a team that is running with it, that is pursuing that vision hard to its logical conclusion. I think I'll stop there on that particular point. The next part I want to talk about now is the actual planning part. I've got a time issue now, so I want to try and do this in the next 12 minutes or so that we take a maximum of 25 minutes in our presentation today. The next part is the part of planning. The same Habakkuk 2 verses 2, 3 and 4 read, write the vision, make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it will speak, it will not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Planning is the beginning of any wealth process. Proverbs 21:5 says, the plans of the diligent surely lead to plenty, but those of everyone who's hasty surely lead to poverty. In other words, if you're not planning and you are hasty, poverty will result. But if you plan diligently, you plan, and then of course even after you've done the planning, even the best of plans, if it just sits in a shelf and nobody's doing anything about it, it will come to nothing. So yes, you are diligent. What diligent is the action. So it's saying you are planning, but you are a diligent person. In other words, your plans, you diligently follow them through. That will lead to plenty, whatever plenty might be in your circumstances, whatever you are trying to achieve, whether it's plenty of souls you are gaining or plenty of wealth or money you are gaining, whatever plenty might look like in your instance. So it's very important that you plan. And after you've done the planning, please make sure that those plans are implemented meticulously. Yes, allow room to adjust as you go. You know why? Because plans are based on assumptions. Whenever you are doing any form of planning, you assume certain things. You assume a currency rate of this. You assume a market level of this or a market share of that. You make assumptions that people are going to come. If those assumptions vary, whether they increase or decrease, your plan may need to be adjusted. So don't think that your plans are, once they are set, they are in concrete. No, you must adjust them or review them as you go. In some instances, under normal circumstances, you review your way you are, plan versus actual every quarter or so. But the actual review of the plan to say, our assumptions still correct? Are they still sound? Or they've shifted? That may be a quarter, 6 months or something like that. In these days of COVID, all of us did some planning December, November, January this year. None of those plans will work now because COVID has changed everything, which means you must go back to your plans, see what assumptions you might need now to change. Maybe now it's no longer people coming to your shop, it's you going to the shop. It's no longer a restaurant where people sit down and eat, it's maybe more takeout. So you gotta change your assumptions so that you can continue to run accordingly. My plans are subject, however, ladies and gentlemen, to God's purpose with my life. Bible says in Proverbs 16 verse 9 in the American Standard Version, a man's heart desires or designs his way, but it is Jehovah who directs his steps. So I might have a plan to go this way. It even Christ even said, talking in the New Testament, and he was saying a guy will plan and say, no, I'm gonna go here, then I'll go to Dubai, I'll spend 6 months buying, trading, this, that. But you know what? Those are good, those are plans, but always remember that your plans are subject to God, because it is He who leads your footsteps. You are doing your part in coming up with a plan, but it is God who then leads and directs your footsteps as to which way you should go. Maybe you thought you'd go this way, but God is saying, no, don't go that way, go that way. He might adjust it a little, or he might adjust it plenty. Just remember that your plans are subject to God. That's why we must be led by the Holy Spirit. We mustn't think that we are all clever. We don't need guidance. We don't need God. That would be fallacy on our part. I can plan the grandest things, whatever they are. But the Bible says, again, Proverbs 19:21, many are the plans in a man's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. So I might plan whatever I want to do, but it's not only the Lord who directs my footsteps, it is the Lord's purpose that will prevail. So I could plan anything I might want to do, but if it's not according to God's purpose, then if I'm listening to God and if I'm following what the Lord is saying, then those plans should not succeed, because I must function according to God's purpose for my life. That's actually good for me. So if I planned today to buy a Maserati, and knowing me and how much I like speed, well, the Maserati might be in my plan, but God's purpose may not allow it. Why? Because God knows me, and He knows how my naughtiness is. Like I wrote somewhere or said somewhere else, every parent should know the kind of fires that their child or children like to start. God knows I like speed. So a Maserati might not be in His plan for me. Why? Because I'm going to mess myself up in a Maserati or something of that. So that's not to say I shouldn't have a nice car, but God knows, and He has a purpose with my life. Planning, ladies and gentlemen, brings direction. It brings courage. It brings impetus. It brings resources. It brings focus. It brings what it is you need to get going along a certain path to achieve whatever purpose there is. The Bible says in Proverbs 20 verse 18, every purpose is established by counsel. In other words, whatever the purpose, put it in a plan. then there must be either in the planning itself or post-planning some consultative process that helps you to say, yes, this is the wise way to go. No, let's adjust this might not work, or let's do it like that, let's do it like this. Every purpose is established by counsel, and with good advice, make war. Business is war, can be war. Whatever it is you're doing, if you're planning to take territory, I'll teach about this at some point in time. Territory doesn't come without war. If I'm sitting here, I'm mobile company X, you want to come into my market to take market share, well, you're asking for a war. I'm not going to volunteer market share to you. You have to take it from me. How? There has to be a business war of some sort, whether out, unfortunately, usually, or fortunately, I don't know, it winds up as a price war. Price is coming down. It's a war. So before you go to any war, even a business war, seek counsel, get advice, do a plan. That will then help you to think through things. I recommend further reading in Proverbs 19 and Proverbs 20. What results from Habakkuk 2 verse number 2 through 4 is what is today called the business plan. Business gurus will tell you, oh, I'm clever, this is how you do the business plan. Well, I'll tell you where the business gurus or whoever, bank manager or whatever, got it from. They got it from the Bible. We have just read it. It is called, write the vision down. Make it plain upon tablets, upon a book, paper, whatever it might be, that he may run who reads it. That's called a business plan. It's for an appointed time. It's even telling you the components that must be in the business plan. So let me talk to you a bit about how you can do your plan or your business plan, remembering, of course, that there are thousands of templates of good business plans which you will find on the internet. Just Google business plan, choose what you want. There are many that are there that will help you. Number one, write down the vision. That's point A. Write it down. Write the business plan down for your sake and others' sake, because in writing it down, there are measurables that you can write down and so on and so on. Don't leave it to the mind. People can't read your mind. Write it down so that those who are there to run with you can know what it is they are required to do. Write it on tablets, whatever that might look like, paper, notepad, laptop, tablet, whatever. It must be plain. It must not be complicated. Yes, it could be complicated, but make it plain enough for those who are running to be able to understand it. E equals MC squared may be complicated to somebody, but if you are running a team of scientists, it's simple to them. So make it plain enough, understandable enough, simple enough, not complicated, not hard to read to whoever your team is. If you're running with ushers, they may not see this aspect of what needs to be done, but in their territory of ushering, they will understand. But the musician might not understand what the usher needs to do, because the musician is not an usher. So make it plain and understandable to the different components of the team. Number three, there are others who run with the vision. It's not you, the visionary, who will always run with it. There are other people who must join the team. On your own, you're not going to get very far. Maybe one shop for the rest of your life and no more than that. But if you're going to grow, KFC started, Colonel Sanders or whoever, whatever happened there, look at it today. It's global because other people came in. A vision must be compelling. It must be powerful. It must be driving. People must want to be part of that vision. People must see it so clear and say, wow, this is where we are. We've got one tax shop. In 10 years' time, we're going to have 200 of these things across 20 countries. Wow, I want to be a part of that vision. It must be compelling. It must be powerful so that those who read it want to be associated with it, because everybody wants to be associated with success, number one. And number two, they want to be able to say one day, to their grandchildren, you know what, when it started, I was there. Look at it today. I did my part. And you, as a good owner or leader or employer or whatever you are, senior pastor, reward them well for their part in that process. So it must be compelling. People must want to run with it once they have read it. Vision is for an appointed time, point F, and it must be implemented within certain time. Why? Because they are what we call night seasons. You'll get this in the book of Psalms, and we'll talk about it at some point from about Psalm 121 through 127. There are lessons that are taught there about what we call night seasons. So a vision is for an appointed time. It must be implemented within certain timelines when things are optimal. January maybe was a good time to have started something, but to start it today under COVID, or whatever it might be might not be an optimal time. You might have to adjust or start it differently. I'm not saying abandon your plans. I'm just saying you may need to revise sometime. So there are optimal times for doing different things. Watch out for those times. Define your timelines for achieving certain things. They are called milestones. Watch your milestones to say, we started here today. In 2 months, we must be here. In 6 months, there. 2 years, there. 5 years, there. Watch your milestones, because there are timelines that you must follow. Because in life, the Ecclesiastes 3 is very clear. Time and season for everything. There is a time for this and a time for something else. So don't miss those times. Point G, it will speak at its appointed time. In other words, certain things happen at the proverbial right time. So don't miss those right times. You must make sure that you are operating within the lifespan of the opportunity. To want to bring COVID masks maybe 5 years from now, it may not be useful, because COVID should be long gone by then. So do things within their appointed time. Properly articulated, any God-inspired vision, business plan will not lie. In other words, it will happen. It should happen. So be careful and articulate the implementational processes with God's grace. You should be able to achieve it. Point I, there may be some delays, but you should not give up. Wait for it, it says. It may tarry, it says in Habakkuk, but don't give up. I know people who've been running at their vision for 40 years. People who were told, build this, do that for so many years. Even Noah was building that ark for years, and people laughed at him until the rain came. So sometimes a vision tarries. Don't give up on it. Wait for it. It will surely come to pass. Planning is necessary and leads to profit. A vision will bring discipline. You will stop playing games because you are chasing a vision. You have no time for nonsense because you are chasing a vision. Yes, balance is important, family, children, spouse, but you will not have time for nonsense because you are chasing a vision. It will focus you. It will focus your work plan. It will focus your work ethic. It will focus your resources. It will keep you focused. The plans of the diligent lead to profit. Always plan and implement those plans. Every year, I draw a plan, which is part of a 10-year plan, part of a 60-year plan. I've got friends who've got such clearly crisp designed or defined 60-year plans that I'm trying to catch up with to have our own 60-year plan. We had done it up to 40 years. We are itching up to 60. But even that yearly plan, is it happening? Are you reviewing it? Are you implementing it? Reviewing it every quarter, every 6 months, as the year may be. Because guys, there's no point writing New Year's resolutions every year and by day number 7 of the new year, you've already broken them. That does not work. That does not help you. God knows, and He will help you establish the plans and the purposes He has with your life. He will give you the resources. He will help you. Many are the plans in a man's heart, but it is the Lord's purposes which are established. Is what you are doing in God's purpose for your life. I'll stop here for today. Please remember that we are back on Saturday, 10 o'clock in the morning, with our live program. Back again next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we move to the next set of principles, which are the time, seed time, and harvest principles that we'll start teaching next week. I hope you enjoyed our program today. God bless you. Remember always that wisdom is the principal thing. Goodbye until Saturday.